The crown of Queen Charlotte. Queen Charlotte's nuptial crown is a storied piece of royal regalia that has traversed centuries, seen disputes, and adorned numerous royal heads. Its journey begins in 1761 when King George III wed Duchess Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz. As a wedding gift, George III purchased jewels worth £50,000, which were combined with Hanoverian Royal Heirlooms to create a crown for the new queen. The crown itself is a marvel of craftsmanship, designed in the traditional style of English royal crowns. It features a circlet adorned with alternating crosses, patées, and fleurs-de-lis. Two arches rise from the circlet, crowned by an orb and a smaller crown. Notably, the crown is encrusted with an array of brilliant diamonds, some of considerable size. Its most distinctive feature is the four golden rods that curve gently from the junction of the arches, each ending in a large solitaire pendeloque diamond. These dangling diamonds add a striking effect when the crown is worn. Just weeks after their marriage, King George III and Queen Charlotte were crowned at Westminster Abbey. Queen Charlotte wore her new nuptial crown, making it a significant part of the coronation ceremony. The nuptial crown features prominently in portraits of Queen Charlotte, and one such portrait, painted by Joshua Reynolds in 1779, depicts her in her robes of state with the crown displayed prominently on her head. This crown became a symbol of her regal status and was a key part of her public image. In 1795, Queen Charlotte's eldest son, George, Prince of Wales, married Princess Caroline of Brunswick, and it appears that Princess Caroline wore Queen Charlotte's nuptial crown for the ceremony at the Chapel Royal of St. James's Palace. Queen Charlotte, who orchestrated the wedding, ensured that the bride was dressed in an opulent silver tissue gown with a crimson velvet robe and a diamond coronet worth £20,000. The Prince of Wales wore a chocolate-coloured coat richly embroidered with silver. After Queen Charlotte's death in 1818, some of her personal jewels, like the Arcot diamonds, were auctioned off. However, in her will, Queen Charlotte specified that the jewels given to her at her marriage were to remain with the House of Hanover, to be considered heirlooms in the direct line of succession. The Hanoverian crown jewels passed to King George IV in 1818, then to King William IV in 1830, and finally to Queen Victoria in 1837. This transfer of jewels marked the end of the dual monarchy, as the Kingdom of Hanover was inherited by Queen Victoria's uncle, the former Duke of Cumberland. He laid claim to the ancient Hanoverian jewels bequeathed by George I, and the jewels left to Hanover by Queen Caroline. In 1839, Queen Victoria was depicted wearing the nuptial crown at a drawing room at St. James's Palace. Despite a commission being appointed in 1843 to look into the King of Hanover's claims, Queen Victoria continued to wear the Hanoverian crown jewels, incorporating various stones into other pieces of her jewellery, such as her regal circlet and oriental circlet tiara. In 1857, the Commission ruled in favour of the King of Hanover, Queen Victoria's cousin. Reluctantly, Queen Victoria sent the Hanoverian crown jewels to Hanover. A few years later, she commissioned her small diamond crown as a replacement for the nuptial crown. In 1866, the Kingdom of Hanover was annexed by Prussia, and the royal family went into exile in Austria. Fearing confiscation, the Hanoverian crown jewels were buried and later smuggled back to London by a countess who deposited them in the Bank of England. Queen Mary recounted this tale, highlighting the dramatic efforts taken to preserve the jewels. The jewels eventually returned to the Hanoverian royal family in Austria, residing at Scrolls, Cumberland. The nuptial crown reappeared publicly in 1904 when Princess Alexandra of Hanover wore it for her wedding to Grand Duke Frederick Francis IV of Mecklenburg-Strelitz. In 1938, Princess Frederica of Hanover wore the crown at her wedding to Crown Prince Paul of Greece, and post-World War II, the Hanoverian royal family returned to Hanover. The nuptial crown was worn by Princess Ortrud at her wedding to Prince Ernest Augusta of Hanover in 1951, and by Princess Alexandra at her wedding to Prince Wilf Henry of Hanover in 1960. The last public appearance of the nuptial crown was in 1981, worn by Princess Alexandra of Hanover for her wedding to Prince Andreas of Lenningen in Amerbach. The Hanoverian royal family is rumoured to keep heirlooms like the nuptial crown in a bank vault in the UK, possibly explaining why the jewels have not been publicly worn in recent decades. Despite the nuptial crown's absence from public events, it remains a significant symbol of royal heritage. Its next appearance may be at the wedding of Princess Alexandra, the only daughter of the current Prince of Hanover, hinting at the continuing legacy of Queen Charlotte's nuptial crown. The crown of Queen Victoria. In 1861, following the death of Prince Albert, Queen Victoria retreated from public life, deeply mourning her loss. During the next decade, her public appearances were sparse, and she only personally opened Parliament twice, in 1866 and 1867. On both occasions, the Lord Chancellor read her speech from the steps of the throne. Unlike earlier in her reign, Victoria never wore the imperial state crown with her parliamentary robes during these appearances. Instead, she followed a tradition that Elizabeth II would later adopt, wearing the 1820 diamond diadem while having the imperial state crown carried before her on a cushion. When Victoria opened Parliament in 1866 and 1867, she wore her parliamentary robe over her widow's attire, a black gown, a widow's cap, and a long white veil. Atop this veil she placed a small tiara rather than the diamond diadem, which would have been unsuitable with her mourning ensemble. By 1870, after nearly 10 years in seclusion, public opinion pressured Queen Victoria to return to a more visible role. To facilitate this transition, the court jeweller, Garrard, crafted a small diamond crown for her. This new crown made its debut when Victoria opened Parliament on the 9th of February 1871. She would wear this crown for Parliament openings only 4 more times, 1876, 77, 80 and 86. The small diamond crown, designed to complement her widow's veil, is a delicate piece standing 9.9 centimetres tall, with a diameter of approximately 9 centimetres and weighing just 160 grams, a fraction of the imperial state crown's weight. It is adorned with 1,187 brilliant and rose-cut diamonds. The design mirrors the traditional style of the imperial state crown, complete with a crest of crosses patées and fleurs-de-lis, arches and a mon topped with a cross. And in the late 19th century, England was overrun with medieval aesthetics, embracing a Gothic revival. The small crown's rounded arches echo the style of late medieval and early Tudor crowns, reminiscent of the Tudor state crown depicted in portraits of Henry VII and Henry VIII. Thus, this small crown not only symbolised Victoria's enduring grief, but also a nod to historical continuity and the stylistic preferences of her era. Throughout the latter part of her reign, Queen Victoria frequently wore a versatile small diamond crown. Its detachable arches allowed it to be worn as a circlet, which she often did during formal drawing rooms at St James's Palace. Notably, She donned this crown publicly during her Golden Jubilee celebrations in 1887. The coinage minted that year, featuring the Jubilee head, depicts the Queen with this crown atop her widow's veil. The inspiration for this diminutive diamond crown traces back to another notable piece in the royal collection, Queen Charlotte's diamond nuptial crown, and this crown, crafted to celebrate the marriage of George III and Queen Charlotte on September 8, 1761, was first worn at their coronation on the 22nd of September, 1761. In Allan Ramsay's state portrait of Queen Charlotte, painted between 1761 and 1769, the crown is depicted resting on a cushion beside her. Although Ramsay exaggerated its size, the crown was a small state crown in miniature, complete with a traditional circlet of fleurs-de-lis and crosses patées, arches and a monde, entirely set with diamonds. Designed as a hair ornament, it was intended to sit atop the Queen's head. This crown, now among the heirlooms of the Royal House of Hanover, left the British Royal Collection following the end of the personal union between Great Britain and Hanover in 1837, when Queen Victoria ascended the throne. Due to Salic law, which forbid female inheritance, her uncle Ernest Augustus, Duke of Cumberland and fifth son of George III and Queen Charlotte, became King of Hanover. Claiming his right to some of Queen Charlotte's jewels based on her will,